Hi, I'm Lynn Dome, and I'm a very smart woman. I know this. Thank you. I know this because I've been introduced this way 100 times over by someone I used to work with. Now, I'd like to introduce you to my dear friend, Justin Price. And over here, everyone knows Lance, and that's Lance Spitzner. But me, I'm Lynn Dome, and I'm a very smart woman. Day after day, meeting after meeting, that is exactly how I was introduced. And it was uncomfortable for everyone around me because it was blatantly obvious after a while that I was the only female in the meeting, and I was the only individual day after day, meeting after meeting, being introduced this way. Now, to be fair, I don't know if that guy was introducing me that way as a way to compliment me. Because at first, when it first happened, I was like, huh, that's a little different. But hey, I'm Lindome. I'm a very smart woman. And then the very next day, when it happened again, I was like, all right, this is a little odd. And then it consecutively, repeatedly had to happen over and over again. And I let it go for a very long time. And even others noticed it and were obvious about it and pointed to it, but yet nobody else said a word. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, it became my problem because I was the one that had to correct that individual to make it more comfortable for everyone involved. Because it was a habit. And slowly but surely, he stopped introducing me that way. And so I'd like to restart and reintroduce myself as hi, I'm Lynn Dome. And I'm super excited to be here today to be at the Cybersecurity Awareness Summit, talking about one of my favorite conversations and my favorite topics, which is inclusion, exclusion, and the ability to mobilize and not paralyze others around you. Because it's hard. And what are we going to do in this somewhat perceived damned if we do, damned if we don't world that's riddled with unconscious and sometimes conscious bias? It's sprinkled with microaggressions here and there. And it's upturned with layers upon layers of lawmaking, legislation, political unrest, and social injustices, where women make up 51% of the global population, but only 20 to 24% of the cybersecurity workforce. And most people do not even see the 20 to 24% on their teams. And on top of that, we receive reports where 9 out of 10 men and women are biased against women in the workplace. And Pew Research reports that over the last 2 decades, the gender wage gap has only closed by 2 cents. The average gender wage gap was 80 cents in 2002, and it is 82 cents in 2023. So what do we do? I mean, this is really, really hard. If it wasn't hard, we wouldn't be here still having these conversations. Well, the first thing is you're here. And so thank you for joining us today and having this conversation from a very shared place of understanding so we could all learn and grow collectively. So I'll be sharing a little bit about the WESIS organization and what we're doing to drive that change needed. And so WESIS, we always go by WESIS, but we're Women in Cybersecurity. We go by our acronym, and it's WICYS, and we pronounce it WESIS like we sisters, because we are a global cyber sisterhood. And our mission is to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity with a vision to grow a strong, gender-balanced cybersecurity workforce We have over 8,200 members with representation in 85 countries. We have 63 professional affiliates. Professional affiliates are extensions of us as the global organization, all throughout Africa, Australia, Canada, France, India, Pakistan, Norway, UK, Germany, and throughout the United States. We have specialty affiliates focused on artificial intelligence, cloud security, critical infrastructure, neurodiversity, LGBTQ plus pride, colors of inclusion, Latinas in cybersecurity, neurodiversity in cybersecurity, deaf affiliate, military affiliate, and so many others. And on top of all of that, we have 224 student chapters. So that's just our community alone. But we literally exist because there is a workforce shortage. And our mission is to do something about it. And there are two problems we've discovered with building an effective cybersecurity workforce. And that's that you can't have diversity in the workforce unless you have the pipeline. And you're not going to have the pipeline unless you're tapping into a diverse community. And so that's what we do. We're a global organization, and we know in order to solve challenges in cybersecurity that have never previously existed before, we need not all genders, but also identities, ethnicities, cultures, experiences, and so much more. We need all hands on deck to bring that incredibly powerful diversity of thought there. And in order to break up that groupthink mindset, evidence shows that systemic errors are made by groups that all think alike. It provides the illusion of invulnerability because you have no diverse opinions to make you think otherwise. And so in 2014, our founder, Dr. Ambereen Siraj, who was Tennessee Tech University at the time, she reached out to NSF to receive some seed funding to have the first ever Women in Cybersecurity Conference. The reason why was because at that time, there was reports that came out that women represented 11% of the cybersecurity workforce. And she, in 2014, wasn't seeing any of that in her circles of industry, academia, or government. And so NSF said, great, here's $70,000, see what you could do with it. And we grew because of that humble beginning and the seed funding from NSF. The very first conference had 350 attendees. The second one had 550, and then we grew to 700, 900. And then you fast forward to the 2023 conference, which was in Colorado this year. Some of you were at it. And we reached full capacity in less than a half hour of opening up registration. We have our 2024 conference coming up April 10th through the 13th in Nashville. But in 2018, we realized that we have to do so much more than just have a one and done at the conference, that there is a movement here and there is a community, and the community needs to be supported so much more. And so this is how we started in 2014. In 2018, we became a nonprofit to have all those year-round benefits. And this is how our conference is going in 2023. But because our mission is to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity, what we do as a nonprofit that started in 2018 is we provide accessibility and opportunities. We layer it with resources and mentoring and the community and the cohorts. We also align it with all of our strategic partners. And we cultivate the culture of inclusion and bring together a place where everyone belongs in cybersecurity. So we have many different initiatives and training programs that support our efforts. We have skill development training programs, which right now an application is open up for advanced SANS certifications. That application is open until August 30th. We have many different scholarships, grants, and awards, not only for our conference, because our conference scholarship applications open up September 11th, but we offer scholarships, grants, and awards for other conferences as well. One unique thing to know about the WESIS conference is regardless of gender, we're the only cybersecurity conference that ensures equal representation of industry professionals and aspiring professionals. So for every regular registrant, we issue out an aspiring professional scholarship. So if you and the audience or on Zoom are watching this and you're aspiring to get into your cyber career or find a more advancement pathway throughout your career, please take a look at our website. We have allyship and inclusion resources, speaking and media opportunities. Our job board plus is a place where all our recruiters recruit from and all our members have access to put their resumes on. We have apprenticeships, internships, speakers bureau, mentor-mentee program. We designed and developed a curriculum to upskill and uplevel women no matter where they're at in their careers, preparing them for their next level of advancement. And we have 1,600 women enrolled in that program right now. And we owe all this as a special thanks to our strategic partners. There's 67 of them that fund us with the year-round benefits. But we're not here to talk about the pipeline. What we're here to talk about is the leaky pipe. I mean, how interesting of a topic. We rarely even talk about it. But when data shows that the average woman in tech steps out of her career at the age of 35, and then you layer on top of that, payscale.com shows that a college-educated woman is at her peak income at around 40 to 42 years old. We don't have much time to lose. And so we can't do it alone, and we appreciate all of you here paying attention. Women and underrepresented individuals are literally coached to be louder and heard. Don't be aggressive. To be agreeable and have a shared space of understanding, but also a very strong leader. And to be assertive, but don't you dare offend anyone. All while building the world and the society into a better place through love and light and laughter, but not too much, or people won't take you seriously. And whether you're a woman in this room that has been coached on this, or an individual that has coached someone on that, it's okay, because it's the reality. And we all need to know on how to interact and grow and advance in our careers. So it's fine. But sometimes it does get uncomfortable. It is the first day of the first semester of my daughter's junior year at her university. She's 5'9", long brown hair, and she has a very sprightly skip in her step, walking into yet another all-male classroom of one of her advanced engineering courses. But she is incredibly, incredibly excited. I mean, she's back on campus, all her girlfriends, all her friends. We all know that feeling. And so she gets up front and center of the room, takes a seat right in front of the podium, reaches into her backpack and pulls out her notebook, and she is just ready to rock and roll. And then the professor comes in. He walks in through the side door. He goes to the desk. He sets down his bag, takes some papers out, goes up to the podium. And then he looks at her. And then he looks at everyone else in the classroom. And the first thing that that man said out of his mouth was, "I will not tolerate sexual harassment in this classroom." Now, mind you, my daughter is the only female in the classroom. And as soon as he said that, chills went down her spine, because she could feel each and every one slowly turning and looking at her. And it was awkward, but it was awkward for everyone, because everyone is likely thinking like, why would the professor say that? And, well, has she been sexually harassed? Because why would he say that if she hasn't been? And, oh my God, I don't want to be accused of sexually harassing anyone. So therefore, I'm not going to talk to her. If my daughter could have shrunk down in her chair any further and melted into the ground, disappearing into the earth forever, she would have at that moment. But she persevered. She was isolated. She had no camaraderie that entire semester in that class. She handed in the majority of her projects alone, and she was painfully, painfully lonely. And although she aced the class, she was done, just done. And you know what? I was done for her. That one statement that one professor made at that one day depleted her completely. She had nothing else to give. And so the engineering world is missing out an incredible female engineer because of it. So we know that the lack of diversity is truly a symptom of a lack of inclusion. But we are always talking about diversifying the workforce. The world is always talking about let's diversify the workforce. Well, diversity in some instances can turn into a feel-good metric because it's a data point. It's a metric you can measure. So you can measure it. You could put in some initiatives, and a year from now, you can measure it again. And if that number grows, you could pat yourself on the back and everything is good. But inclusion is so much more complicated because inclusion is a feeling and it's only felt when you're excluded. And that does not feel very good. Similar to how you don't feel your body, except when you're in pain. And then you feel it. Similar to how cybersecurity is always present, but it's silent until it's broken. And then you hear about it. And so WeSys decided to partner with Illyria to quantify the experiences of exclusion to identify the state of inclusion for women in cybersecurity, because we knew we needed to level set the conversation with leaders. The problem is the higher that leaders rise, the less experiences of exclusion that they have. And so we needed this data in order to open the doors and have these conversations in order for industry to take a little more responsibility on the state of inclusion itself. Let's make progress with intentional efforts, not just guessing. Let's know exactly where the pinpointed problem is, but intentionality behind it. And so we came up with the inclusion assessment and we produced it in March and it's on our website. The executive summary is there and it received a lot of media attention. You likely or maybe have heard about it or have read about it. And if not, you could go to our website and find out more. But what we found in this study is that there were some things that were no surprises. Is that 68% experiences of exclusion came from leadership, 61 from managers, 52 from peers, and 12 from policies. It's people, not policies, why they leave their careers. But that aligns with all the industries out there. We all know that people don't quit their jobs, they quit their managers. Everyone says so. But a key finding that came up, bubbled up to the top right off the bat. We weren't even looking for this. Our researcher found it, was so excited and had like an emergency meeting, like, oh my God, this is great. Is that those people that participated in our state of inclusion assessment that identified as employees of WeSys strategic partners had 36% less experiences of exclusion and had 15% higher levels of satisfaction. And so our researcher, being a researcher, loving what he does, he dug into that data deeper and he realized that those are the individuals that were parts of the community, that the employers that engaged with us as the strategic partners brought awareness to all that WeSys has to offer. So if you don't have representation in the work that WeSys offers, that representation for you, that community, that network, and those opportunities. And so these are the individuals that not only participated in webinars, but had webinars for us. They were on program committees, scholarship committees. They were in our mentor-mentee program. They helped align some of our efforts and our programming efforts every step of the way. They were an integral part of us growing. And therefore, they were extremely fulfilled, not only with their community and their network and their people, but also that extended into their work. Another key finding is that what Illyria found with the state of inclusion in cybersecurity that he's never seen in any other industry at all is that career and growth is the second leading reason why women feel excluded in the workplace. That directly aligns with this one. is that women in cybersecurity experience a glass ceiling at around 6 years within an organization. You're nodding your head, you're nodding your head. We have plenty of women that we've presented this data to, and everyone thinks, yeah, that was about the time. So when Gartner comes out with reports that predict in 2025, 50% of cybersecurity leaders are going to be leaving their jobs, with 1 out of 4 of them leaving cyber altogether, we definitely paid attention. In this same study, they state that by 2025, over 50% of the security incidents are going to be from human failure. And so WESIS provides not only all the different initiatives and training programs and opportunities, but we provide resources in order for all of us to take responsibility, in order for all of us to have the knowledge and to drive the change that's needed. Now, some might say that my daughter should have gone up to her professor and shared with him what that comment did to her. And I say yes, and so should have everyone else in that classroom. We tend to put the education and the advocating responsibility on the underrepresented individual themselves. So it's important for all of us to pay attention. Because imagine how that semester would have been for my daughter if that professor never said that to begin with. Allyship is a leadership skill set. It is hard. It takes practice. It takes learning it. It puts you in an extremely vulnerable state, and it's not easy. But we have resources and opportunities to help you every step of the way. Allyship is empathy in action, as is inclusive leadership. And we share this with you all so that you're not the moderator constantly looking at his watch when the only female is speaking on the panel. So that you're not the professor that tells a female in his classroom that her elevator pitch was on point, but her necklaces and her nails distracted him. So that you're not the manager that puts the new hire on the leadership slide deck and labels it diversity hire. Or so that you're not the person that has the forever dreaded assumption that moms have less career advancement desires. These resources are here, and those experiences have all been shared with me in the past 2 weeks. This is not old information. This is very new, and this is very fresh, and this is very hard. And so before we go on our day today and into our weekend, I would like to leave you with one last thought, is that I know I'm not the only smart woman in this room. I'm in this incredible room with incredibly intelligent individuals all around me. And all this information was shared with you today, and the data is shared, and there's more data on our website. It's all for us to learn and grow. But the question that I ask you is, how are we going to show up tomorrow as a better version of ourselves because of it? And that's all for you to decide. I'm just really grateful to be a part of the journey with you. So thank you.